Good morning and happy Friday to all of you. I hope that you all have been enjoying this week. Welcome to the Autopsy of Her, Healing, Evolving Resiliency. I am your host, Iris Denise Owens, and I'm so happy to see you all. And of course, as always, on the line with me is my beautiful sister and co-host. Good morning, honey bunny.
Good morning, honey bunny. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm a little tired, but I'm good. I'm mellow today, as you can see.
Yeah, she listen, I'm just telling y'all, she's been sitting like we are at a, like we're at a bar in Harlem, sitting on the bar stools with a cigarette and a drink. Cause she just so laid back today. She like, child, please.
As you can tell, I'm not in my own space right now. So, you know,
So that's all right. You will make it your space and you will make the space work for you today.
exactly.
So you will make it work for you today.
Well, you have to trust what you have. You gotta make it do what it do, right?
Make it do what it do. That's what we do. That's why we are who we are, because we make it do what it do.
Exactly.
So, guys, today, as we had been doing this entire month, because as we mentioned, February is the month of love. It's always going to be the month of love for me because it's my birthday month, which I will celebrate my 58th birthday next Monday. I cannot believe that I'm going to be 58 years old. I don't even know how I got here, but yay.
I know. I know. Imagine if you didn't have children, because children really tell you could see your age with your children. But for those
Absolutely.
people that don't have children, you do really kind of wake up one day and say, "How did I get here?"
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
you have nothing to track it by. Maybe if you have some research
Yes,
you're close to, but
absolutely.
that with children, we're always like, okay, there, that's where my age went, right?
Yes, correct. So, in talking about, as we said, the month of love, so we're going to close this month out with To Be Loved. There are so many songs about to be loved, there are so many poems about to be loved. And so we thought, hey, let's talk about what that actually means to be loved. So, the true definition of to be loved basically talks about to be held in deep, affection, to be cherished, to be loved companion, to be much loved friends. So, that covers the gamut of pretty much all of the different types of relationships that we have when it comes to be loved, right? Um, I think for most of us, our love starts with our parents, right? Because they're the people who teach us. They're the first people that love us. And whether they do a great job of it or a really bad job of it, still the point is they love us and they give us the best that they have. And so once we grow up and come into the world and come into our own, then I think we have to learn what that means for us to be loved, right?
Exactly. And, the thing is, when I think about parents,
Mm-hmm.
and like you see, like some people, like we have a big homeless problem in the world.
Yes.
And I like to think that, like, wow, what happened to these people's parents? Because I think that when a woman found out that she was pregnant and was so excited about this birth, you
Mm-hmm.
know, more than likely, maybe not all the time, not every single birth, but lots of times. And like,
Mm-hmm.
so what happened in this person's life that now you live on the streets? Mental health, whatever the situation is. Because
Right.
what I realize, the longer you live, the more you see. And what I do realize that when people have children, and for whatever reason, when the children aren't born, quote unquote, perfect, nothing's perfect, they tend to not want to deal with these children sometimes, and which I do think is a lot of why we have a lot of the things that are going on right now, the mass shootings. I think it's a lot of mental health issues associated with a lot of these things. And I do think that if no one else knows, a parent knows when something is wrong with your child. And sometimes instead of dealing with that, you'd rather kind of like put them into the world knowing they have these issues. and not, doing your due diligence to help your children the best way that you know how. And so I guess the question kind of would be, I think, like, how did you just not love this person enough to help them when they're young, when they're very young? Because as they get older, that gets to be a whole nother thing, you know. But when your children are young and you see they have those kind of issues, you have to continue to love them. That they're not perfect, and that's okay. I mean, you would like to know that kids are born, with 10 fingers, 10 toes, and all those things. But there's sometimes other things that are happening. But it's so much more to parenting than just like, oh, look how beautiful this baby is, and I could just dress them up like a doll baby. Because some people are really kind of caught up in those kind of things, or they're going to be so smart, or they're going to be, basketball player, they're going to be a football player. They get wrapped up into all these other things than just them being, and parenting, and just creating a world for the child to be happy, to grow. If the child is dyslexic, learning to how they know how to read and set them up so they can be successful even with their dyslexia, whatever it is that they may have. You know what I'm saying? I think that we lose. Even I've seen situations where there's one child that was just quote unquote the perfect child, the other child they just push that child to the side and push this child up front. And because it really, they think it's a reflection of them, but the reflection is that you're not taking care of your children. To me, is a bigger reflection. So that's quite interesting.
It is interesting. So when you say, I'm gonna take the flip side of that. That okay, so let's start from birth, right? That okay, let's just say a child is born into the world with some sort of physical, mental, emotional, you know, deficiency. So what about the parent who then says, I'm going to love this child no matter what? And they do, and they love that child. But at the same time, sometimes they will negate that there really is something that needs to be addressed,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., mental health,
Mm-hmm.
emotional, physical, whatever. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in love, we also will find shame,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, I can't let the world know that this child that I brought into the world is not
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so what happens is then you become a protector of that person. And
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes in becoming the protector, to be loved turns into enabling,
Mm-hmm. Is
right?
that
As opposed to helping and teaching and helping that person to walk and be as strong as they can and whatever their destiny is. So whatever it is, if you're born blind, then I'm going to make sure that you can read braille, and you can know how to get around, and you're self-sufficient, and you can do what you need to do in life, right?
mm-hmm.
Because as my mother always used to say when I was younger, I teach you the things that I teach you, or I show you the things that I show you. She never said it like that. She would always just say, I'm not always going to be here.
Is that
And
for
I
sure?
remember as a child being terrified that my mother would say that, I'm not always going to be here. And I would be like, don't say that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
to be loved, again, is if you love me, why would you leave me, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
understanding as a child that none of us have a say over when
When
we
we leave
come
it.
or when we leave. That's the real deal, right?
Oh, sure.
So to be loved is also learning and understanding that when someone has an issue in their life, whatever that may be, and I'm only referring to it as an issue because the issue is when we are, or we have something, or we're dealing with something that is not what everyone else considers the norm, then it's deemed and listed as an issue. It's even listed as an issue in the Bible. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean I'm imperfect. Doesn't mean I'm not able or I shouldn't be loved and cared for. So to be loved is to realize that whether we're born with a deficiency or whether as we go through life, we find ourselves in a deficiency, we still all want to be loved.
Oh, absolutely.
We all want to still be
Mhm.
loved.
Yes, sir.
I.e., when we meet the people in our lives or meet that person in our lives and we say, oh my God, I'm in love. I know I am in love. This
This is
person
the
is
one.
telling me, I love you. It is
Mhm.
like, it's so euphoric, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And to be
it's
and to
breathtaking.
hear
That's what
somebody
it is.
say that they love you, it's
Mhm.
like, ah, you hear music, you walking around on cloud nine,
You love
everything
me?
is
Oh my
you
God, you love
right,
me?
you love me, right? So it's like, wow, right? It's an amazing feeling. And who wouldn't want
Especially when you love them too, though.
right? I was gonna say, and especially when you love them too. Now, to be loved by someone who you are not fond of is a
Yeah.
whole other story. That would be a whole nother topic on another day. But when you are with the person that you can't wait to see them, you can't wait to speak to them, you can't wait to be in their presence, you can't wait to snuggle on the couch together, you can't just wait to even just see them like you see them. It's like when children see their parents come home from work, children treat you like, I have not seen you in 20
And
years.
yeah, yeah, they be so
It's like, and forever, forever. That's how it feels. When you come home to your children when they're young, they like, man, they drop everything. They do a beeline to you. Whoever arms, they could have been in daddy's arms, mommy's arms. When your children see you, they be like, hey, hey, get off of me. Don't even let her see me with you hugging me like this because I gotta go give it to her. Imagine if that was how we treated one another, to remember what that feels like to be
yeah,
loved.
yeah, yeah.
Because
We
these
do have
days,
to remember because it's brave. Like it's not to love and to give love is not for cowards.
it is not. It is
And
not for the faint at heart.
it is definitely not. And as we go through this life, you will get your heart broken. But the idea is never to let anybody steal that much of your joy that you're not brave enough to go out there and do it again.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
in that you will find someone that will just love you just as much as you love them, and your heart will no longer be broken. So
Yes.
but you have to put yourself out there. And I feel for people, and this, like, it's like I know we have conversations with people that will never put themselves out there again. They're just too
Right.
afraid to. And but the sad part about that is you give the person that broke your heart all that power over you not having, more
Having
happiness in
joy in your life.
exactly
Yes.
from another human being. And you should never give anybody that power because trust and believe they have gone on and found joy with someone else.
Right. Or they've gone on and they're ruining someone else's life, unfortunately.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
So
exactly.
so
That can be true.
but the whole concept about to be loved is, I think it is an inner thing. Like, to be loved, there are so many words that can describe, or so many synonyms and antonyms that could describe what being loved is. But for me, I feel like being loved is the whole concept of, in my mind, like if I close my eyes, I see colors and I see flowers and I see myself laying in a grass, a grassy field, and I can smell all these beautiful aromas. For me, to be loved means it affects every part of you,
It
right?
does.
It's a part of your being. That's why when you find yourself no longer in love, this is why we go from being, oh, to, I just can't do anything anymore. you know, and then we will say to ourselves, and people will say to us, get over it. I'm trying. But you got to realize here, a part of what I was used to, that person, the yin to my yang is no longer there. It's
Mhm.
hard. It
Yeah,
really is hard. And when we try to say to people, listen, like someone said the other day, suck it up, buttercup. It
yeah,
it's
yeah.
that
That's not it. Yeah, you can't just suck things up. I mean, you have to
no.
the reality is, for you to be successful at this, then you do have to do the work and realize, well, why isn't that person the yin to my yang anymore? You know,
Mm,
what part did I play in that? So you,
yes.
only way you have to do is you have to heal in order to move forward, so you can find your yin to your yang. You
Right.
know,
What was your role though in the, and so I think like you said, real important is that discovery period after we are no longer in relationship with someone, right?
Mhm.
There really does need to be that period. And I'm not talking about the self-loathing, the blaming oneself. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the discovery part of, okay, if this didn't work, again, we've talked about this before. What was my role? What
Mhm.
role did I play in this relationship? Right.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then what role did I play in the demise of the relationship?
Exactly. Yeah.
And what do I need to do for myself? Because what I'm going to say right now is that no matter what you do, it doesn't, there's no guarantee against heartbreak.
Oh no,
There's
absolutely
no
not.
guarantee in life. If you're gonna put yourself out there to
That's
be
right.
loved and to want to be in love or to love someone else, that is that is probably the greatest risk we take every day of our life.
It's true. It's
I'm
true.
so serious because
But it's the greatest reward also. That's why.
oh yes, and as human beings, we can flip on one another on a dime. I
Oh my
mean,
God.
I
Yes. Give me
we can
perfect.
we you and I could be sitting here laughing, joking, da, 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 and then 2 minutes later, you're like, you know what? I'm leaving. Wait, what?
Uh,
I'm sorry. What? We just sitting here having a conversation. We had breakfast. When you're in relationship, we start to go over these moments in our lives and in the relationship because we're tallying as to say, this scorecard right here says we are together, right? this scorecard, this scorecard says we are together, baby. And you coming in this kitchen talking about, I don't want to do this no more. And you're saying, wait,
what?
what ending happened that you didn't share with me that I lost?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
obviously
well,
you
before,
playing on another team or you playing by yourself.
before they said that, the writing was kind of on the wall. Like some people don't want to see it. We all playing Stevie Wonder, but the reality, yeah, we all play Stevie Wonder. But the reality, some of the writing was on the wall. And then sometimes it could be a light bulb moment, like you want to do this no more. Oh yeah, got you. I don't want to do it anymore either. But after the fact, then the pain does set in, because
Yes.
sometimes I woke up thinking about this morning. One of the things I woke up thinking about, but it's like you think, are people more upset about the time that you feel you allow somebody to waste so much of your life, or is it the heartbreak itself? Because when you really think about it, that now you kind of know, but you've dragged this along. If you've been in a relationship and made it, different things have been going on. So now you wasted my time, you know, because I know I did feel like that. I felt like, oh my God, you know what I mean? I wanted to have more children. I wanted to do, like we have a friend that she
Mm-hmm.
feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you do feel like, so and then sometimes it just be a combination too. But and especially when you're like saying, when you have issues, you're addressing them. Let's go get counseling, whatever we need to, get these issues taken care of. And you're constantly saying, the person saying to you, no, no, we're fine. I just gotta, get this deal done. I gotta get this done. We'd be
Mm-hmm.
good. I'm just, so you're not really being honest.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Correct.
now, knowing that you really didn't really want the relationship, now here's 10 years later or 20 years later that you wasted my time, you know? And even in some of these circumstances, now children have come into play,
Right.
because eventually, yeah, even if you weren't planning on it, children are going to start popping up.
Right.
And now you really didn't really want, that's just like came because you guys are married, but that's not anything that you really planned. Now they're in the situation, and now you're walking out.
Right.
This is like, I don't remember the governor of South Carolina, I believe it was. He went missing, No one could find him. Everybody was worried about him, whatever. Come to
Mhm.
find out, he was having an affair with this woman from, I think she was from Venezuela. He said it was the love of his life. Meanwhile, he's married to a woman with 4 children.
Mm, mm.
And you think had to play out on national television.
Oh yeah,
Mom
for the
went
whole
out
world to see.
the whole, oh, this is the love of my life. Da, da, da. And I do feel like some people do make deals with people like, oh, if you're not married by a certain age, then we'll marry each other. But it's really, you're not really attracted like that much to each other. And then you're kind of like settling. And
You're
so finally,
married for convenience as opposed to for
exactly.
love. I
Exactly. And I think that could be a problem unless it's hard when you put that together, but I think sometimes in those situations, because a lot of times I know a couple now, and the guy's like he married someone because of status and everything like that, but he really wish he would have married the woman he loved, that loved him the way he wanted to be loved. Not to say that the woman doesn't love him, but she's not that kind of woman, you know. And he regrets it, you know.
So I want to step back a minute to talk about what you mentioned about um, feeling like you wasted time,
Mm,
because I do think there's a good and a bad to that statement. Because to me, being in love or to be loved, right? I can only imagine what it feels like because I've been there and I know what that feels like. But when you're in a relationship with someone, especially it's a long-term relationship, those early years or those years that you spent together, I would hope that most of them were good years, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
so in a true sense, if I was to weigh the good that came out of to be loved with someone, i.e. in marriage, when you're married and you have that, like I said, that that gut churning. I love to see you walk into the room. When I walk in the house, I know that you're there because I could smell you, love, right?
uh-huh.
That I know he's here because I smell him. And I'm not talking about cologne. I
No,
smell
I know.
I know what he smells like, right? And so,
Okay.
and people think that's weird, but it's not weird because you smell your children too. If you have that kind of
Mhm.
relationship with your children, people that you love, you smell them. You know
I used
their
to pick up my
their
babies, I can smell them. Yeah, I know.
yeah, you know their presence, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
so for me, when you're in love like that and you've had these years, so now you're married, you've had children, we've made goals, we've met these goals, we are, we're grinding, and then all of a sudden someone pulls the brakes back real hard, puts on the emergency brakes and like, yo, I don't want to do this no more.
mhm.
And you're like, wait, what? Right?
Yeah.
But does that negate all of the good years that we did have together,
No,
right?
no,
Because
not at all.
especially when you've had children, as we always say, our children are normally our greatest gift.
Mhm,
Even if you didn't have children, if we look at it, because I think if we look at it from all the good times, like Al Green says, for the good times that we had with somebody, that would help us not be stuck in the I'm never giving my heart away again.
mhm. It
Because if
should.
you focus on this was really good, it
Exactly.
was good for 1 year, it was good for 30 years, it was good for 50 years, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, and sometimes it's not even that it's not good anymore.
Right.
It's just not nobody's actually mad, nobody's actually saying I don't love one another anymore. Just sometimes people get to a point where they're just like, man, we've been doing this dance for a long time and I don't want to do it anymore.
So I had friends, the couple that I was very good friends with in college, and well, they met in college, whatever, and they literally got divorced because they said they ended up feeling more like brother and sister than husband and wife. It was so interesting. And it was so funny when they both came to my baby shower, And the girl, lady, woman, she was saying, everybody, oh, that's my brother. She saw everybody intro ex-husband as her brother. And and they really have that. He got remarried. She was at the wedding. She's been remarried. She
Right.
was at the wedding. And they are like more like brother, well, more like brother and sister,
Right.
you know. And but that was the reason they kind of got divorced, which
Right.
is quite
Because
interesting.
sometimes people imagine, as my mom says, my grandmother first marriage was at 13. Can you
Oh,
imagine being married at 13?
absolutely freaking not.
Right?
I could imagine being married at 20.
Right. So I'm saying there are people, because every stage, every stage of our life, we are different. We do evolve, we change. At least we should. If you
Are you
haven't,
good?
yeah, you should. If you haven't, Lord help you. Right.
Well,
That's one reason why the person may not want to be with you no more. I'm just saying. But no,
yeah,
that's another topic. But
yeah,
anyway, when you look at your life evolving and you look at, I'm here, you're there. Sometimes we're here together. Sometimes we're slightly off. But when it comes to a point where both people agree, or one person says, I will agree with you, you should tell a person though. Don't keep, stringing somebody along. And I
that's
think in
that's not.
relationships, there should be, and I say this all the time, you need a relationship checkup.
Oh,
it,
absolutely.
it's it's good to have those hard conversations when life is good, rather than we're in love, we're loving one another, we're happy, and then all of a sudden you throw this thing on me. As opposed to, if we did these checkups with one another, right? We're in love, we're happy, everything is good, but we're just having a conversation. We
Exactly.
just say, so how do you feel about us, right?
Yeah. What can we do better? Because I
Yeah,
used to do
what
that.
can we do better?
I used to ask my children every month, like, how could I have been a better mother this month?
Right.
And it's the same kind of situation. But I tell you, I was engaged. I was engaged. I was really young, and when we broke up, he broke up with me. I was so brokenhearted. But it's so funny. One of my friends I was in college with, and she said to me, she said, "Well, every time you would talk about getting married and your wedding, she said he would have this look on his face." like that, like, yeah, I ain't really gonna happen. I just, gave it
Right.
a ring.
So you were
But
missing the signs, in other words.
I would say to anybody, like, now I would always, I was young, I was still a child, but you look at someone, you know what I
Yes.
mean, for their response or for their facial interest, their body language, because
Yes.
it does tell you everything. Because you could be having this conversation literally by yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, my daughter was friends with this couple when she was in undergrad, and the girl was like, "Da-da-da-da, da-da-da, we go through this, we go." One of the moms said to him, to the young man, "So how do you feel about that?"
Right.
He's making all these plans, and you're talking as being the female, and he's just like the kind of the accessory, but is he on board? And let me tell you something: when you think that you
Yes.
have a man that doesn't speak up for himself, and you just tell him like, "Here, wear this, do this, say this, da da da," and you like whatever I tell him, that's how he rolls. When that man finds what he's looking for,
It's because someone else is gonna say, do this, do that, do this, do that. And he'll be like, oh, I'm okay, bye.
but well, he said I could come over here and have a voice, and you know what I mean. He's gone, and it's
Right.
amazing how women think that they time it. Like, oh, just because he's not speaking, don't mean you got him where you think you got
Mm-mm. Because the
him.
fact that he's not speaking would make me more nervous.
What?
Because what we always say, watch the quiet ones, the ones
Quiet?
who have very few words. That
Yeah,
goes two ways.
yeah.
Sometimes the one who's the, says
Wait,
less but do more, that's
right,
one thing. But
right.
sometimes the one who says less and do more is do more, which means it's do more, but it's do more without you,
Exactly, exactly. You
right?
just don't know. My little brother, it was his birthday last week. Happy birthday, little brother. But he's what, 45, something like, he's very young. But anyway, he had a girlfriend, and the family just sopped him up too. Which my mother was really kind of like, He's not spending time with his family. And I was like, how's he ever gonna get away from this girl? Like it's like whatever she said, he just did. And girl, I mean, he was with this girl for like 8 years, like a long time. And the girl would never talk. Like every time he said, she would hold her head down, and it was just odd. Long story short, one day she called mother and said that she couldn't find him. And it was so weird because they lived in the same, he moved to Brooklyn. They lived in the same building. And he lived, she lived upstairs in an apartment with her parents, and he lived downstairs. So then she would come downstairs and hang, but he moved there just so he could be close to her. She couldn't find him. We're like, what do you mean you can't find him? Oh, and she's talking. Because I was thinking, girl can't talk. But long story short, he found somebody else. He did.
That's
And
not funny. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing. Like, haha, that's funny. Oh my
he
God.
was engaged to this girl like 8 years. He found this other girl, and he was married like in 6 months to this other person.
Well, we always say people will do when they find that person, especially when men are different than women. And I don't mean that to just see when we say a man's going to do this, he's going to do that. Men are so much different than us because we as women, we're going to talk it out. We're going to discuss it with our girlfriends. We're going to talk to it about with our mothers, the hairdresser, the grocery guy, the barbershop guy. Anybody who's willing to listen.
Except for him.
Right. Anybody who's willing to listen, we're going to talk about it, right? And we're already making plans. We've talked about this before. Young women, we start making plans in the womb, baby. We make plans in the womb. I believe that God gave us the ability to make plans in the womb.
Well,
right? We had to because we come out and we're already. I remember telling my mother when I was probably, I don't know, I was 5 or 7, at the hair salon with my mother, and back in the day, all the women sitting around talking and stuff. And my mother says the comment I made was that I'm never getting married because men are no good. They cheat. What did I know about that at 5 or 7 or however old I was? But men are different because men don't talk. Men don't have those kind of conversations. And when they do, you know that they're serious. So when a man pulls aside another man or if he has a crew, right? And he pulls aside somebody or that whole crew and say, hey man, I'm thinking about getting married. So then there'll be those friends who are going to be like, man, what? Yeah. Exactly. That's good, man. Listen, man, can I be the best man? Then there may be the other friends who be like, hell to the no. Is you crazy?
Why you
what
do that?
is wrong with you? Right? Most times, but when men are making a statement, they're ready to move, to make an action move.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
They don't do all that. See, women, we're talking about it for years, for months, for weeks, for days. Men are like, they wake up, they're like, today, I'm going to ask this woman to marry me. Exactly. End the story, moving on.
So this is like when I wanted to have an evening wedding. And my ex-husband was like, I am not going to wait all day to marry you. We're going to get married early. We're not having no evening wedding. I was like, okay now.
I'm not waiting all day to marry you.
I'm not waiting all day to marry you. We got to get married early. I want to get married early. So we get married. So I was like, okay. But the thing is with men, when a man wants you, he will come and get you.
Move hell and high water.
Like I never forget, years ago, this girl told me, and I don't think this woman ever got married. And her and her best friend met this man. And I think they probably knew him from college or something of that nature. And the man ended up marrying her best friend. And she said to me, the only reason he married her is because they both lived in Philadelphia. I was thinking to myself, keep telling yourself that. That's what makes you sleep.
If that's what makes you help you feel better about the situation, then okay.
He married and then they were going, when he married, they were going through issues. So she was always on the phone talking to him, and I'm like, now he's feeding her ego. See, I really should have married you. Because he basically probably told her that, and she's so stupid to run with it. The worst thing you could do is run with some man that told you you sound crazy.
Yes.
Oh, I should have married you because you lived in New Jersey. And they both lived in Philadelphia. I think they're next door to each other, but even if they're not, if he wants you, like you said, to move hell and high
He'll
water.
move hell and high water.
Oh my
A man
God.
will a man will travel, a man will spend all his money to be in your presence. A man will spend money he does not have to be in your presence. A man will travel hours to come and spend 1 hour with you
Absolutely.
if he
He
is
wants
the
to be with
person
you.
that he adores. To be
Exactly.
loved. To be
That's
loved is
be
serious. The
love.
same thing as we would say, sometimes, we're like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not. But when you meet that person, babe, can I
Mhm.
get your slippers for you? Babe, you want
Mhm.
something to drink? Babe, what do you want to eat tonight? Babe, what do you think that is? That's
Mhm.
not just all of a
Yeah.
sudden you found this newfound independence. You
Mhm.
never cooked a day in your life, but now you're trying to bake
Because
cakes.
of me.
Now you trying to feed this man, because what they tell you, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So now you like, well, I want the heart and the stomach, so let me learn how to cook. Right?
Uh-huh.
Years
Uh-huh.
ago, you went to McDonald's every night.
Uh-huh.
Now you want to learn how to cook. The point
You
is,
know,
love moves us in a way that we have no explanation for it.
it's so true. But I was thinking about when we talk about this, it reminds me, me, I love my old black and white movies. It's this really great movie called All About Eve, starring Betty Davis. And and she plays a character that's an aging, actress in the theater, but a very famous actress. And this one comes along and she's just trying to imitate her.
Mm-hmm.
And and she has a boyfriend who's a great, playwright, play director, whatever. So, and she keeps making reference that you must like her because she's young, the Betty Davis character. And he's like, no, I don't even look at her like that. I love you. I want you to marry me. And but the girl that has her sights on him, the young girl. And finally she pushes up on him one day and he said, I'm a man. And he said, what I want, I go after. Classic line. And
Right.
it's so true.
In other
All
words, don't come for me, because unless I come for you.
Exactly. That's just like when you go somewhere, you go to, like, if you're single and you go out to a bar club, whatever, and you got to walk by them. The man saw you the first time you walked in.
Absolutely.
He walking by. Oh, he didn't see me. He saw you.
He saw you.
He didn't want
Right.
you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's
You did not, move him to a point of where he felt he was going to come over and
and
speak to
after the
you or
digits.
whatever, right? And you're right about that. And sometimes I think we forget, because in this society in which we live in now, we either don't holler at me, and literally, yeah, don't scream at me from across the street or something
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
like that. That's not
No way.
that's not cute, right? But maybe you're screaming across the street because maybe I'm moving so fast that if you don't take this opportunity right now, right here, to stop me, it may not be the opportunity again. So again, we have to be careful about what we say we will do and what we don't want, this sort of thing. But at the same time, if a man takes the time out to speak to you and shares with you, if you're interested in that man, then show interest, right? Be
Absolutely.
careful,
Yeah,
but
don't play
show,
games. Don't
yeah,
play games.
show interest. Don't act as though like he doesn't matter, because the same thing you're looking for is the same thing he's looking for. That's to be loved,
Exactly. Yeah, they're looking to
right?
be loved.
And
But no
so
one
you,
has
like you said, you don't have to put yourself on display for a man to see you. He saw you. And like I think you said last week, the difference between men and women, I also think, is that a man will say, I knew from the moment I saw her, this one was going to be my wife.
Yep.
I knew from the moment I saw her, I loved her,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Typically, we don't say that, right?
No. No.
We don't typically say that. One, because that's just not how we're reared. That's just not how we're not
Mm-hmm.
taught, to be, because in other words, that looks thirsty, that looks desperate, that it comes all these things, right? And it's the same thing with a man. But as you remind us all the time, men are the hunter.
Yeah,
We are the
yeah,
prey.
that's right. You
Now,
don't want to serve
prey doesn't sound
not
nice,
pray in that way.
but not pray in that way. Pray in
Exactly.
that, hey, pray that this brother gonna come along and be a good brother.
Exactly.
Because if you're
I
gonna
mean,
come for me, then be
mhm,
a good brother.
exactly. We truly become prey when we set ourselves up, like, when it's a lion and a gazelle, when you try to jump into his DMs and pass him your digits, let him know you like, because when you let a man know that you like him and he gave you no indication that he
That
likes
he was
you,
interested.
exactly, he's like, oh, I can get her to do anything I want.
Right. Some men will take advantage of that situation
Most men will
and
take advantage.
string you along and
Yeah,
have fun with you and then discard you like you were, a
I knew
dirty
this
tissue.
couple. I knew this couple, and the guy, he was very nice. They were just dating. Their boyfriend and girlfriend. He was a nice man. I can honestly tell you, I always felt that he was a little bit too nice for her. You know, she just ran the street a lot. But and I was like, then at the same time, I was happy for her that she got a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
And they started going to church together, just whatever. It's funny when they got to church together. This girl had her eye on him, you know. But long story short, basically they end up breaking up. But when and it's funny because like when I would see him and go along, like ask her how she doing, whatever. I'm like, that'd be nice. And he look like I would say they get married. He give me a look. I never gonna marry her, but she's always talking about marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna get married. So eventually they did, break up, but he still, and that's when I did not like him any longer because my thing is, you have no good intentions for this woman,
Mm-hmm.
but you like what she gave you in bed and continue to sleep with her, you know. But he did end up with that other woman and married her, got a family, kids,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I was like, wow, and you do have to. Another friend of mine, and I'm friends with the guy. Same thing. I think that he was more honest, with her because I would say I told him because she was a little older than him. You want to have babies? He better have it, yeah. And shit, he'd be like, he was looking everywhere but there, you
Because
know.
guess what? They can have babies anytime, or they can impregnate someone anytime and still have babies.
Yeah,
It's us who
exactly.
has the clock.
Yeah,
Men
yeah.
don't
They
have
don't
a clock.
make the contact for nobody. Exactly. But you never want to serve yourself up on a platter. I
No.
mean, I get it. When I used to work at Barney's, there was this girl that I used to be friendly with, and she was. When I tell you, she was crazy about this guy. Oh my God, she just. Oh my God, Stephanie, I just want me just crazy about him. And the guy did not look at her twice. And one of the worst part with her being crazy about him was that he was into men. Um, and I would be like, well, he's into men though. I don't care. She didn't even care, you know. And years later, I never forget, I ran to him on Fifth Avenue. And before I was just saying hi to him, and he was like, I want to introduce you to my wife. And I'm like, nice to meet your wife. But I already, I was like, okay.
Okay. Hi, wife.
I said, like, hey, wife, how you doing? But and because I used to like give him a message for me. It's just be crazy about this guy. But he was not trying to even like
Right. He wasn't feeling it like that.
he was not feeling it. But they were like, oh, she got a car. She got I guess I got six brothers, a whole bunch of male cousins. And and just listening to them, I never even none of my brothers or my cousins ever did that to women. But I know their friends and around that would take advantage. I'm like, that's not nice. If you don't like that girl, then don't
Yeah,
mess with
move on. Let
her.
them know you're not interested and move on. And
Yeah.
that's why I think to be loved is if you really love someone or if you're very much in like with someone, don't
Mhm.
string them along. Don't
No,
be
no,
dishonest
not
with them.
fair.
If you don't feel that this relationship or your relationship is going where you anticipated that it would go. And again, be careful with these timelines, right? With these, I want this, I expect this at this time. So we met January 1st. I expect that December 31st of the next year, you're going to ask me to marry you. right? Because did you have a conversation though about whether or not this person wanted to be married?
Yeah. Like people
Right?
just assume.
Did you have a conversation as to whether or not you and this person actually are on the same line of compatibility,
Yeah,
right? Do you actually even have a strong like for one another to get to the point of to be loved, right?
exactly.
Because again, sometimes our plans, we think, I don't need to ask your permission.
Yeah, we
we
playing
we
on
we
head.
we've been together for 3.5 years, and we've been talking. I've been talking about marriage. I've been talking about marriage, and I've talked about kids, and I've told you from the very beginning, this is what I wanted, and this is what I was looking for. Da, 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 da. And then he's sitting there looking at you, going, "But you never asked me what I."
Exactly. And you know,
And now you're mad. So to
yeah,
go back to where we started, for you to go back and then say, he wasted my time. Did he? She wasted my time. Did she? Because were you listening?
uh-huh.
Did you ever even ask if
Yeah.
this person,
And not necessarily were you listening, were you like, yeah, listening to what he wasn't saying also, not only
right?
what.
Because remember when we talked about, you didn't say anything, but I heard what you said. You didn't say anything, but I heard what you said, right?
Well, how you say silence speaks volumes.
Right. Silence is, listen, if someone, okay, prime example, if you continue to call a person and they don't call you back, that's an answer.
That's an answer. The answer is I don't want to talk to you. That's why I don't call you back.
Right. If you keep texting someone and they don't text you back,
That's
that's
to
an
let you know
answer.
that I don't want to text you back because I don't want to talk to you.
Right. If you roll up to somebody's house and you ring their doorbell and you see their car in the driveway and you can hear them moving around in their house and they don't open the door,
They don't want to see you
they don't want to see you.
because they're not interested in you.
You go to a function all dressed up with this beautiful outfit on that you bought because you are going to get their attention. And you enter the room and they exit the room.
They're not interested in you. Exactly.
That
It's
is
amazing.
not to be loved.
That is not to
If
be
you
loved.
want to be loved, start with self
Self.
love. Love thyself enough to be able to identify when someone does not love you.
I have like two situations I know of. This one girl, I did a race or something years ago, and the girl was like, she was like, they wouldn't let you use the restrooms and do a race outside. It was something. It wasn't. I don't know what it was. I can't remember so many years ago. But basically, what I do remember is she had to use the ladies because she was pregnant, and she was like, and her husband was standing outside and whatever, and she was like, and she started kind of sharing their story with me, and she said, she used to work somewhere, and her husband's like 5 years younger than her. So say she was like 20, she was 30, he's like 25. And she
Mm-hmm.
said when she went there to work, he said, "I'm gonna marry you." And she was like, "I'm not marrying this young boy." And she ended up marrying him, and
Yes.
didn't really keep up with them, but what they had going on was really, really nice. I
Yes.
would hope to think that would last. And
Yes.
then my cousin, she was 19 and she was dating this 16-year-old boy. My aunt and uncle was having a fit. They were like,
Yes.
and then he was like, "I'm gonna marry you." And they have been married all these years, 30, 40 some years, but he knew that she was the one he wanted her.
Right.
And that is real. People just, that is so real. That's just like I know a lady, same thing. Her man, 20 years. Oh, we married. Was just like we married, been together 20 years. One day she came home and he packed his things. So I found somebody I want to marry. Yeah. So, you got to be listening, watching. You have to be paying attention just
Right.
so you won't, like ruin your whole life. Because I did have a cousin that was kind of a playboy and he was dating this girl, but, and she got pregnant, something, she decided. And what was so ironic, she was a nice girl, but she used to come over every Saturday with the baby and literally sit on the steps. He wouldn't talk to her. He wouldn't play with the baby. She'd sit on front of the TV in the back with his friends, working on his cars, riding his motorcycle. He was doing everything but paying attention to her. And I do like think now, like she, he unfortunately he was killed, but she doesn't have, that she loved him, but he didn't love her. And I think it took something from her, which is kind of sad. Because you can allow people to do that to you on both ends. I've seen it in men.
Don't let
I've seen
people rob you of the love that you
that you
deserve
can
and
have.
the joy that you are looking for in your life. And I
Exactly.
always want to remind, and that's just me talking to myself and just you talking to yourself. Love hurts a lot of times, right? And sometimes the love that we have found ends up not being the love that we thought we wanted or needed, right?
Yeah.
But even when you're in love with somebody and you're married for 30, 40 years, please be aware that that does not mean that that's without hurt.
Oh yeah.
I
Without ups and
mean,
downs.
right, ups and downs, ebbs and waves, because
Yeah,
people who are
yeah.
married, we get so enamored when we meet people and they're like, we've been married for 70 years and 80 years. And then we go, oh my God, how have you been married that long? And when they start telling us the real deal, they'll be like, there have been times I couldn't stand him. There were times that I left and I didn't come back for a year or something. And here we are thinking, wait, what? Yes. Just
Mm-hmm.
because people don't put all their laundry out to air dry doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Right.
Realize love is work, man. Have you
What?
met you?
It's a
Have you
job you
met
can
you?
never
Because I know I've met me. Love is work,
It's
right?
work. And
And
it's
so
a
if
job
you
you can
have
never
met
find
you
from, and
and
you
you're
want to show
honest
up
with
your job every
yourself,
day.
yeah, if you're honest with yourself, you know you could be a tough cookie. You could be a
Oh
hard nut to crack, right?
yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
imagine when you are trying to find someone that you want to love, or you think that this person loves you or doesn't love you. Hey, we all got our own stuff, man. So to be loved means you got to give people grace, because,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
said, have you met you? Have you met you?
It's true. You know, you have that way. I get told, like, you got that way about yourself.
Right? That's gonna be that's gonna be a topic. You got that way about you. What exact way is that? Yes, we need to talk about that. That's a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you have to put the work in, and you have to. I think that we have to learn to take, criticism
Yes,
in both ends. You know what I mean? Some people want to dish it all out, but they don't want to take any. But I
right,
think at the same time, it's the way. It's 100 ways that you could say things. To say things that for people hurt their feelings is not. That's not a person loving you.
no,
They will constantly hurt your feelings. You know what
right,
I mean? Because people know when they're hurting your feelings. Let's be clear. They know
right,
it's gonna make you hurt and painful. And I think that what people will think that, oh, I can hurt your feelings, and makes you more like cling to me, and not really.
no,
It makes you be like, no, you push them further apart. And you got to be really John Maxwell. I don't know if you know who he is, but
hmm,
he's a minister, not
yes,
like yes, I know you know. But he said that he's one of them quick tongue people. Some people
yes.
are quick tongue people. I'm not a quick tongue person. Um, I can be quick tongue in anger, but just to be like, just kind of mad and just yeah, I can't do that. And but then if somebody's quick tongue, and he said that he was like that, he would get into with his wife. And one day she told him like, and this is not verbatim, but basically she said to him like, yeah, you're fast with your words and everything like that, and you get your point across, like you got to be the winner. She said, but you're killing my love for you.
Ooh, yeah.
Exactly. And he said he had to really think about
Ouch.
that. Exactly.
Ouch.
Because that's what happens. You know what I mean? That you can, you kill. I heard people, men and women. I told her, I told him, and they
Oh
didn't have
yeah.
nothing to say.
Yeah.
Like yeah, because you got your point over, and they didn't say nothing, and you standing tall over them, you're killing your love.
You
They
won the
should
fight, but you lost the whole battle.
battle.
You don't even
Exactly.
realize that you're doing that, because
Mhm.
I was going to say, it's like realizing that as I said earlier, we're in different stages in our life when we fall in love or when we fall out of love. And I definitely realized that being at the age that I am now, being in relationship is so much different than when I was 25.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely.
The
Yes.
level of expectations are different,
Yeah.
right? I think the level also of patience has to be different because
Mm.
just remember, again, have you met you? Because you have your own stuff, right? And so
Absolutely.
you have all these little quirks and how you do
Oh,
things, how you want the bed to be made, how you
yeah.
want the blinds to be opened, how you want the stuff arranged in the
Yeah.
refrigerator. And
How
not
you want
just,
your food
don't
cooked?
forget, right? Don't just forget to put the seat down. Oh my God. Let's think
Mm.
about all the stuff that we have all these little idiosyncrasies about. So imagine when you meet someone and you're saying, I want you to love me for me. Well, guess what? You're going to have to give that person the same type of grace.
Exactly, which is true.
And so if a person for their whole life, okay, you meet somebody right now, we're closer to 60 than we are to 20 or 30, right?
Knocking on the door.
On no, we kicking the door. The plate on the door got scuff marks on it. You hear what I'm saying? So for me, I'm saying to remember to give a person grace because okay, I'm anal about neatness. I want everything in a place. I want this, that, and the other, da, 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 da. And then I'll have my piles of confusion. Like my room is clean, my bed is made every day, my bathroom is cleaned, but I still have piles of confusion in my space sometimes, right?
Mm, mm,
And then when it gets too much for me, I'm like, okay, you got to address this, you got to clean
mm,
this up. Okay, so imagine you meet someone, especially a person who one has either never been married
mm,
or was married a very, very long time ago,
uh,
right? And now you meet this person, and this person has all their own little idiosyncrasies, and you're like, oh no, I'm not putting up with that. Oh, oh no, oh my God, what? You don't take your shoes off when you walk in the house. Oh my God, why you gotta lay on top of the comforter?
uh,
Did you just use the guest towels to dry your hands? Now we're laughing, but y'all know this is
Or
real.
are
Oh,
you sitting on my bed with street clothes on? You know me?
oh, let me tell you something. That is my daughter's. Isabella will put you out her room for sitting on her bed with your street clothes on.
Your street clothes. I'm like,
She
oh
will be
my.
like, have you lost all of your mind? Right? I feel bad for the dude she probably hooked up with in life because the minute he come in and sit on her bed with some street clothes, he gonna be out. But see, he won't even know what he did wrong.
I'm gonna tell you, but I tell you, my ex-husband, good. He used to sit in that nasty, dirty courthouse. He had night court, come home and sit on. I mean, but he would do it because he knew it would annoy me. And I'm like, you know, I got eczema. You know, I said some skin. It's like, are you
You
crazy?
itching just from the thought of it.
Just the
So
thought of it, my skin starts crawling. Okay, like
I
oh
just
Lord.
want to say, guys, to remember to be loved, you have to also offer that love back. You have to really, really offer it back. It's important because
It is important. It is.
we are all our own little, you know, makeup of who we are, and we all have our own concepts and ideas. But if you want to be loved and you want to be in love and you want to give love, you're gonna have to, compromise sometimes.
Yeah,
You're
you
gonna have
do.
that's the only way that works. You can't get everything you want, and the other person is compromising. And that person can't get everything they want and not willing to compromise. Everybody got to come to a middle ground and say, okay, you know what? I know this bugs the heck out of you. I will try my best not to do it. But if somebody been doing the same thing in their life for 30, 40, 50,
Years.
60
Yeah, yeah,
years, and now
yeah.
you want them to show you. So to prove their love, they need to stop leaving the toilet seat up. Girl,
Yeah.
bye.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Girl,
You have
bye.
to, and you can't like the one thing with me, where he has his place, I have my place. I haven't spent more time in his place, but however he lives, that's how he lives. How I live. I am a neat fanatic. It's just different. And that's okay.
Right.
So I can't. I would never um, be like, oh, let me make your house like my house. This is your house.
Right.
I
That's right. That's their
You said
house.
to me, that's why you have your house and I have my house. I said, you're
Right.
absolutely correct.
Right. And if they ask, now if they ask and say, hey, I'm really trying to do this, that, and the other, then yes, help them.
Yeah,
But then don't be mad that they don't keep it that way. Because like I
exactly.
said, we are all our own little microcosms of who we are. And so
Uh,
we gotta remember. So if the person who, like my daughter, I know every place my daughter is or has been in the house. You know why? She leaves a marker everywhere she goes in the house. Guess what
what kind
those
of
are?
market?
Her socks.
Oh,
There are socks in my couch cushions. There are socks underneath the couch. There are socks in the towels. There are, because wherever she takes her socks off, she leaves them. And I always tell her, if you don't get these socks,
that's so funny. Yeah,
but think about that when, like, is it worth not to be loved over the
yeah,
socks?
yeah. I mean, because the reality is that someone like someone just loving you for all your quirks and all your weirdness and all your idiosyncrasies, that's it's something to be said for that. You know.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's really what it's about,
Right.
not trying to change you because that's who you are. Now when you get down to respect, though, that's something different.
Right.
But
Because
just like I'm gonna, it takes me time. I gotta lotion my body from head to toe, every time I bathe, so it takes time. I got,
right.
because I have eczema. I got to lotion my body. I take my time. I do. I spend a lot of time on myself. So, but if you're waiting for me, you may be waiting a little bit, but eventually I'll show.
And
Eventually I'll
so
show.
I just want to remind y'all, what does it mean to be loved? What did I read to you all? Held in deep affection, cherished, loved companions, much loved friends. So if you go forth with that thought process about to be loved, guess what? I think you'll find your love. And if you have love already, but it's a little stale, it's a little dusty, hey,
Yeah.
put some
Spice
put some
it.
things, spice it up, right? Blow the dust off, get back
Yeah,
on track with one another and keep the train
exactly.
going.
Yeah, definitely spice it up a little bit.
Spice it up. I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of the weekend and just have a wonderful, wonderful time. We thank you all for joining us today. Honey Bunny, this was like amazing. I
It
feel
was
like I got to go do a little inventory just to make sure I'm on track.
me
Just,
too.
I just
Me
listen. I can't preach it and I ain't walking it. So let me preach it and let me go walk it too at the same time.
exactly. I got that way about myself.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh God. So hey guys, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourselves this weekend. I'm sure wherever you are, whatever the weather is going to be, enjoy it. In Atlanta, we are seriously going through it with weather. One morning it's 29, by afternoon it's 83. I don't know what we are doing, right? It's
The
very
weather
confusing
don't.
because you have to wear layers of clothes, and then one arm you got a sleeve on and the next arm you're gonna leave out, and then you got a sandal on one foot and a boot on the other. I don't know, it's crazy. I just want you to know it's crazy.
It's supposed to be 33 degrees here tomorrow. And
Yeah, see,
I'm really planning on not like going anywhere if I don't have to,
I
because
hear
I just,
you.
not to mention I've had an exhausting week. I just want to rest.
Right. I need you to have a weekend of nothingness.
Yes. And
Yes, do
I plan
nothingness.
on that being this weekend because I'm feeling every inch of exhaustion. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm planning on getting some rest this weekend. That's what I'm planning on doing.
Okay. Awesome. 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 So
I say everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. If you're on the East Coast, it's a nice weekend to cuddle. You know, it really, really is. I think the NAACP awards are coming on tomorrow night.
they
So
are.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Is it tomorrow night or Sunday night? It's tomorrow night
I think
or
it's
Sunday
tomorrow,
night?
maybe Sunday night. Well, I know it's this weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you're right. It is. Yep.
yeah. So
So
that's
yeah,
gonna
cuddle up and watch that. Or watch some
exactly.
nice black and white movies, or watch some horror movies. I don't care, whatever it is
You
that
know, I
makes
love
you
my black and
feel.
white. And I just got something from Google because they know I like my black and white movies. That like the 10 top black and white movies, and four of them I've never seen before. I was like, oh
Oh,
my
well, there you go. So now you don't have to watch, so you can add some new movies to your repertoire.
But when I'm hanging out with Bay, that's not gonna happen because he hates black and white. That's never gonna happen. He doesn't do black and white movies. See, there we go, and I'm good with that.
It'll work out.
Yes, it will.
To be loved.
To be loved. He's like, I'm not loving black and white movies.
Bye, honey bunny. Have a great weekend.
I love you.
I love you too.
Bye, everyone.
And I want everyone to be happy. Okay, something weird just happened with us, so be patient. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye bye.